Seems to be working at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to start out this stream with a quick show and tell, just because I just got this microscope stand today, and it's pretty cool, actually. It's relatively cheap online. So here's my microscope that I used in the, was it the last stream? Or I think it was 2 streams ago. I don't know. Losing track. Anyway, this is a simple, cheap USB microscope that acts like a USB camera. So you can use it in OBS and like a camera app or other similar apps. And then this stand that I bought just recently, because the stand this microscope came with is crap. But this one goes like way up high, like 10 inches or so. So you can like not be so zoomed in if you want. So pretty cool, I think. It was only like, I think it was like 20 bucks or something for the stand, so I thought it was worth it. Anyway, I'm going to just show a few quick things with the microscope just for fun. So here's like totally zoomed out. This is the linen tape that I use in my bookbinding. And then you can zoom in. Of course it'll get blurry as I zoom in, but once I get down there I'll focus it. It'd be pretty sweet if it autofocused. But it's kind of needs to be manual because you want to change the focus depending on depth of the thing you're looking at. And once again, this isn't like a super high-powered microscope or anything. It's more just for little hobbies, and it's pretty cool. I think it's fun. It's fun to play around with those rocks that I found at the beach. I actually kind of want to look at those more. It was a little bit mesmerizing and relaxing. It's kind of fun. I might do streams like that on occasion. That's what the linen fibers look like up close. I also thought it would be kind of interesting to look at some of my marble paper that I make. I've never done this before. Just kind of look at the details. Actually kind of hard to focus on it because if I don't have the paper totally flat on the surface, then it focuses differently when it's like popping up. This yellow color actually has some glitter in there. Kind of see the articles a little bit. But what really interested me is I wanted to like look at some of the fine details. I used to take high resolution scans of all my marble paper, but I haven't done that for a long time. Of course, I haven't actually made marble paper for years. It's something I want to get back into, and if I do, I'll probably figure out a way to stream it, 'cause I think that would be a cool thing to stream. It's cool how like crisp these lines are, even though I'm zoomed in massively far. I wish I could zoom in even further though, to see the individual fibers and particles and stuff. Let's see. Maybe I'll do this one here. Some nice details there. Another sample. Let's see if I can find one with lots of intricate detail. This one's really vibrant. I don't know about intricate detail, but kind of. This is actually one that I used to consider an error. Like, basically what I did with this marble paper is I use really cheap acrylic, like the kind that you get at Walmart or Target, like those, I don't remember what the brand it is, like Apple something, I think. Or just like the craft acrylic that are like $1 or 50 cents a little tube, or I mean a little bottle or whatever. And that cheap acrylic doesn't stay juicy, I guess. I don't know. It dries really quick and it cracks, kind of. And so that's why I see all these little, I don't know, really detailed, weird little textures. And at the time I was making these marble papers, I was thinking that was like a problem, or kind of cheapy looking, because it, you know, generally when you're making these patterns with the paint, you want them to be like really crisp on the edges. But actually, like later I realized, no, it's just a different style. It actually produces like a lot more detail and interesting shapes that you wouldn't normally get with like really high quality paint. So in a way, it adds its own character by using that cheaper paint. And I don't look at it as like an error anymore. I actually kind of like it. Crackly patterns. The only disadvantage of this microphone microscope stand is that I can't get really close. I mean, I can't get any closer because this pipe is in the way here. But I was actually just thinking about this as I was starting the stream. And I was realizing I could probably kind of modify this. I have these, what are these called? I don't know what these are called. They're like just clamps, I guess, that I use for a lot of my streaming setups. And I was realizing if I hook one of these to this somehow, not sure if I can get a good clamp on here. This will be awkward, but I think it might work if I can do it right. I put that on there. I have to think about this. I might have to like use one of those screw holes. There's probably a way to make this work. I mean, I have a ton of these clamps, so I could do, actually, it'd be better to put it way out here, because then I'd have more range of motion. I think this will make the image a bit shakier. But it might work anyway. So I'll just use 2 of these. I don't know if I can get this to be perfectly perpendicular. It might just, looks like it might just happen to work out that way. Then I can use the second one to grab the microscope. This might actually work. It's very tacky looking, but it doesn't matter as long as it works. So then I could just put the stuff I'm looking at farther away from the stand. And I can put bigger things under there, which is kind of cool. I just have to focus it, of course. I don't know why it's not focusing. Let me see. This first thing is not really grabbing how I want it to on this there's like a better place to grip. Seems to want to rotate on there. I know I'm just wasting time on my stream, but that's what my streams are like. I'm pretty relaxed. I don't have like a program or big plan of any kind. Just general idea of what I'm wanting to accomplish or do. Basically, my streams are just me doing stuff that I want to work on anyway. Usually my hobbies. There's nothing like super official about it. Okay, so that might work. Kind of works. This little thing is in the way, that's for sure. But anyway, I just wanted to try that. I'll have to like fine tune this clamp setup. It's a little bit awkward. I think if I just put like, if I put something over the top of this ring so it's kind of more flat instead of having the hole in the middle here, then I could probably make it work. Okay, well, that's enough fun with the microscope for today. I might look at some of my other marble papers off stream just for fun to see what they look like. I'd have to like kind of dig through them to find one that would be really cool to look at. Let me just pull out just a couple more in case I happen to have one here that's kind of cool. Oh, this one should be nice, actually. Let me... Both of these are kind of cool. They just have a lot of detail. Just look at these real quick, and that'll be good. I wish this microscope was like super powerful, like lab strength kind of thing, but it's still fun to play with, but it's definitely not like so powerful that I can see all the little truly microscopic things. So more just like if I got my face right up next to the paper, this is approximately what I'd see if you were nearsighted. Otherwise it'd just be a blur. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Okay, enough of that silliness. Let's just go back here, set this aside. Oh, I didn't realize I didn't have the light all the way up. I was wondering why it looked kind of dim. Okay, so my actual more plan for this stream was to work on books. I wasn't really going to do the microscope, except that I thought, I'll show and tell my new stand, just because I was previously streaming about it. It's always fun to kind of tie in your streams together in a series, if possible. So, let's see. First things first, I guess I'll just kind of show and tell the little strip book presses that I made, which I pretty much made these on stream. Let me see. I need to look up streaming history here. Okay, so yeah, my last stream that I did was the one where I was using the table saw and the chop saw and the drill press to make these things out of some large bamboo panels that I bought from somebody locally. And they turned out really great. I need to like sand the corners and edges a little bit. They work totally fine as they are, but I've noticed like there's little splinters of the bamboo fibers in certain areas. And I just want to kind of make, make them really professional, just so I don't like poke myself. And they're totally usable though, like there's nothing wrong with them. Although I noticed, I think I wasn't perfectly thinking straight in where I placed the holes, like because I did a bunch of them all at once, like put holes through 4 at a time. And I was thinking, well, if I put them like an inch from each corner and do that consistently, they'll all line up. But I wasn't really thinking straight about that because they're not all exactly the same length. So it would have made more sense to have a template going from the center out so that they're spaced exactly the same distance apart and don't really care if they're an inch from the corner. But that's what I should have done, is made a template that has both spots on it going from the center and marked them with a Sharpie like I was, and drilled from that point. And that way all of these strips that I made would line up with each other, and I wouldn't have to like remember which one goes together. They could all be interchangeable, which most of them are interchangeable, but some of them have just slightly different alignments because of the length of the board not being consistent. But anyway, otherwise, other than that, they work really good. And as I suspected, since the book is hanging out underneath the board instead of inside the larger book press, I have a lot more control over manipulating the signatures and lining them up on the top. So, I mean, it's not like an instant process. I still have to like do the tapping and it's a little bit of work to get them lined up, but it is easier though. Like it may not be way faster. It is faster, but not like as fast as I thought it might be, but it's more pleasant. Like it's less frustrating. I tend to get annoyed when I'm doing it with big book presses because it's so hard to get the thing aligned in there. So I end up redoing it a bunch of times often. Plus, not only that, I think my overall results, like the quality of the alignment, is better. Like I can perfect it and not compromise and accept like slight imperfections. I could think it's actually perfect. So I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but I don't have a good light up there. Let me see. What can I do about that? Okay, so if you look at this going down this way, you can see that the signatures are lined up really well. Well, if I can get it to focus anyway. There we go. Focus for a half second. Anyway, they're really flat and consistent with each other, and they're perpendicular to the sides of the book. All of that is what I'm shooting for. So, yep, pretty happy with these little book presses that I made. The only disadvantage of these, oh, and actually before I get to the disadvantages, another advantage of these is that I can stack a ton of these in a small area. At least in this stage, like before I glue them, they don't need to be upright. I can just like stack them like this. So here's some more here, like on top of each other, and they don't take up much space. The only thing that's annoying is they're a little bit, the bottom one is tilty because it has the bolts that are not flat on this end of them. So they're a little bit tilty that way. But generally I can stack like a bunch of these on top of each other in a smaller amount of space and not have to have a huge, because normally I have to like clear out a huge area of my floor to stack all these books that I'm getting ready to glue. Now I can just, you know, use a pretty small space. So that's cool. So I have 8 of these that I lined up late last night. Well, I didn't stream it, but I'll probably do more of those a little bit later in this stream, so you'll see how that process compares to the other ones. But first thing, now that I've showed those off, I'm going to, oh shoot, I just realized I need to get some water to wipe my fingers off if I'm going to do some gluing tonight, but I don't know if I'll get to that or not. So the next thing is I'm going to grab some or grab all 12 of those books that I glued and just pull them out of the larger book presses. So you'll see how these smaller, let's see here, what did I do here? Okay. You'll see how these smaller strip presses compare to the larger ones. In just a second here, let's get these out of the way. Okay. These are the ones that I glued a couple streams ago. Not sure how long ago. Let's see. I feel like I need to get my lighting a little bit brighter here. Without having to use these lights. I don't like using these white lights because I kind of like the colored moody look. It's just kind of my style. So that means I have to actually change the settings on my camera, which is annoying. So I'll just do that real quick though. I always try different things with the exposure and it never quite works out how I hope. Okay, I think that's better. I could probably turn this off now. Yeah, that's better. It's not great, but it's better. Okay, so I'm just gonna first pull these out. And I may decide to glue the sides. No, I might not. I don't know. Actually, the first thing we need to do is pull this tape off. Which I use drafting tape. It's pretty strong, so it keeps the linen tapes tight and down to the sides while I'm gluing, but it's not so strong that I can't lift it off afterwards without damaging anything. Just the right amount of stick, basically, for this purpose. If you're really careful with the drafting tape, you can also use on paper projects like watercolor or other paper things that you're doing that you need to keep a piece of paper in place while you're doing some kind of craft or art or whatever. And it won't damage the paper if you're careful when you're lifting it off. It won't tear the paper. It is fairly strong though, so you have to be a little cautious. Okay, so there's the first one. What I like to do is flex the mull here and these linen tapes just down on the sides. And then if I have time, or I decide to do that tonight, I will glue these down here like that so that they're flat on these sides. But for now, I'm just going to stack them. And then as I go, I think what I'm going to do is pull these nuts and wing nuts and bolts out of the large full-size presses, and if I decide I have time or desire to keep going, I will use them on the smaller bamboo strip presses for more books that need to be glued, including this stack here that I was looking at the marble paper under the microscope. So I'll just make a stack of the nuts and bolts here as I go. Cool thing is, since there's only 2 nuts and bolts per press on these small strip ones, I use half of the number of nuts and bolts as I do for these big ones. But as you can see, like trying to manipulate the alignment of this book and these signatures inside of this huge book press, if you haven't seen my previous streams, it's so much more difficult to push up from the bottom because you can't even see. I mean, the book is so deep in there that you can't like reach through here with your fingers. You kind of have to do it all from the top. which is a lot harder, but on these smaller bamboo ones, I can, you know, manipulate the bottom of the book and the top of the book and have a lot more freedom control, so it's pretty nice. Okay, so yeah, let's make a stack of bolts and make a stack of books. I like this song, it's cool. Except the voices, I don't really like voices in songs like this, like just the little DJ kind of mixes. I prefer just instrumental and not those little voices, but it's fine. Oh, I forgot I need to take the tape off first. As soon as I get these out, I'd like to sit down too, because typically on this bookbinding stuff, on these streams, I have to stand up for a long period of time, and it kind of wears on my feet and ankles and stuff. But I kind of have to stand because these presses that I'm pulling the books out of are like on the floor behind me, so I can't like be sitting until I get these out. little bit of a slow process, but not a big deal. Oh, the other thing about those small strip bamboo book presses is that I need to make some kind of stand for them. And it could be as simple as a couple of these with some kind of braces on the bottom spaced out like this. And then I could, as I'm gluing them and as they're drying also, they need to be vertical. So like I could put the books like this, for example, and have it stand on the ends like that, and then the bulk of the book hangs down in between them. But these need to be, have little side supports so they don't skew one way or the other, or just have two like PVC pipes that are spaced out, or just some sort of two spaced out things that I can hang these on, essentially. I haven't actually built that structure yet. I'll just have to figure it out as I go. Oh, I need a space for that too. It would be nice to build something of a semi-permanent place just with a couple boards spaced out just right where I can hang all those, not have to like set it up and tear it down all the time. Or if it is something temporary, I can make it so it's really quick and easy to do. I need to buy more of these nuts and bolts though, because I kind of like having these pre-assembled larger book presses, because I do actually use them. Like it's not just for this step that I use them, I use them for a bunch of different things, so I don't want to have to like piece them together or take them apart all the time. So I just need to buy more of these. I have a pretty big bag of nuts and bolts, but some of them are really long, and I like the ones that are about this long. I don't know, it's like maybe 4 inches or something. Well, other ones that I have are like, I think they're like 6 inches, and makes it a little bit more cumbersome, clunky to work with. And none of my books are much wider than this, so I don't need like gigantically thick screws. There's just that one book that I did recently that was a lot thicker, but that's pretty rare, unless I just get into a new trend of making gigantic books. I don't really need the longer screws. Tend to just get in the way. Apparently I forgot the tape on that side. No matter how many times I use these book presses, every time I pull the bolts out, it pulls little tiny fibers of the wood, so it kind of makes a mess. I don't know if it'll ever wear it down to the point where it doesn't do that. Probably not. I don't know if the bamboo ones will be any less fibrous and not break down as much like that. I mean, breaking down isn't really the right term. It's not like they're falling apart. It's more just the where the screw holes are. It pulls little fibers out from there. Just makes a little mess. It's not really a big deal. One thing I'm pretty sure that will be better about the bamboo boards is the surface of them. I don't think we'll release as much, I don't know what to call it, just chemicals or wood dust onto the books. I've never really been overly concerned about that anyway, but a certain amount of, you know, if I leave a book in these book presses for a long time, like a few days or something, it's possible a little bit of the wood would leach into the paper, I suppose. I don't think it's anything real significant or concerning, but wood isn't necessarily acid-free by any means, so it could leach a little bit of acidity into the paper that's touching it, but I think it would be pretty insignificant. But my guess is the bamboo would do that less than this cheap plywood, so it should be an improvement generally. Getting quite a stack of things here. Let me count these because I don't want to actually, like I said, disassemble all of these larger presses. Just get a healthy number of these. See how many pairs I have. One, two, three, four. Got 5 pairs there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, And if I do these, I'll have 12. So I think that's probably enough. And then all the other ones I pull out, I'll just leave the large book presses assembled, because that should be enough for these small strips. Plus those longer screws that I have, or the bolts, whatever, I've always realized this, but I just sometimes forget. I can just cut them down with the hacksaw and make them shorter. Because I do have a bunch of them that I'm not using, and it would be, there's no reason to buy a bunch more bolts when I can just cut those down. Should save a few of the longer ones, but not too many. Okay, that should be enough. That's give me 12 pairs, which is 12 bamboo presses. Should be plenty. Okay, so I'll just keep pulling these out. I just won't do any more disassembling of the presses. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 more to do, so I've done 6 already, so that's half. I had a total of 12 originally. And again, these are books that I previously, a couple streams ago, glued the spines. So I'm just pulling them out. They've been drying for like maybe 3 days or something. They only really need to dry maybe like 8 or 12 hours, just kind of overnight. Work on them the next day, but been busy with other things. Plus, it was fun to do those couple variety streams with the rock microscope thing and the IRL woodworking. That stream didn't work out as well as I thought because my Wi-Fi signal or something was really bad outside where I was working. I have to work outside because of the power tools and all the dust they create, so it was pretty bad bitrate. I don't know if that's I honestly don't know if that's an Odysee thing or if that's just something I was doing. I think it was honestly just bad Wi-Fi, but wait a minute. No, I'm not. I just contradicted myself. I'm not going to take these apart. I'm just going to pull the books out of them. So if I do any more of those streams where I'm like outside, I have to do a little bit more testing with the signal. I just wanted to get that woodworking done before it got dark, but I also wanted to stream it so I didn't have time to go through the normal test phase. But I might actually get back to doing hiking streams as well, or just other IRL content, like walking around the city or soccer ball juggling, things I've done in the past, or just other random things. I've also done a lot of eating streams, which is kind of pointless, not very interesting, but just go to a restaurant and eat something. Nobody ever watches, but I don't care. I just kind of like streaming, even if it's not that interesting to anybody. When I first started streaming about 3 years ago, I was sort of thinking it would be fun to stream everything. I got almost not obsessive about it, just it was a really fun hobby, and I wanted to. It was also during COVID, so that, you know, everybody was locked down, whatever. So I was kind of bored and lonely more than I normally would be, so the streaming thing kind of got me through that. So I was just like, everything I was doing, I was thinking in terms of, oh, would this make good content? Or and then I didn't really care if it was good content or not. Sometimes I just stream it anyway. I haven't checked the replays on the streams to see how they work, to see if chat replays along with the stream like it does on YouTube and Twitch. Well, mainly because I haven't had anybody chatting, but I guess I could check since I did a little bit of chatting on my own stream there, see if it shows up on the replay. Problem is, when I upload my replays, I don't just leave the stream. Well, I would leave the stream as it is, like as it was broadcast, but so far that hasn't worked for me because I stream at 1080p, and I think Odysee wants you to stream no higher than, or upload videos no higher than 720p at the moment. I think, I'm not sure. That's my theory, because when I try to publish the stream after it's done, there's usually some kind of error, but if I re-upload the file, because I'm also recording it locally through OBS, just like process the MP4 and upload it with the right bitrate and all that stuff, it seems to work just fine. So I don't know if when I do that, it might mess up the chat anyway, because it's like considering an upload instead of a live stream. But anyway, I have no idea. Not very familiar with the ecosystem here. A little bit different than the platforms where I came from. Not even sure if there's anybody on this platform yet. Haven't met anybody. I do have one friend on here. I don't know if he's live streaming here or if he's just uploading videos. But I haven't encountered him yet on here either. He might have given up on the platform already. I don't know if he's still uploading or if he was just kind of giving it a try. I don't honestly know if I'll stick around either. It's hard to say. I don't know what the status is. It's kind of like already reached its peak and kind of on a decline, or if it's still growing. I don't know. But I'm not too concerned about it because I like small platforms anyway. But it would be nice to meet some people. Like, if I don't ever meet anybody, I probably won't stick around. But oops, that kind of defeats the purpose of live streaming if we don't have anybody there ever. But I usually see viewers. There's just usually not any chatters, so, and I don't mind that at all. I feel like lurkers. Doesn't bother me at all. It's nice to know that somebody might be sitting there watching, whether or not they're too chatty. Got 2 more books to take out after this one, and then I'll actually be able to sit down, I think, and start putting more books in these bamboo narrow presses. I'll get to see how that works. Probably won't. I have 12 of those that are freed up with these nuts and bolts. I probably won't get to the point where I'm actually gluing those tonight, but I guess I could. Depends on how late I want to go. We'll see how the tape sticks to the bamboo. It should stick fine. And we'll also see if it, when I lift it off, if it pulls up any of the fibers, because that happens occasionally on this cheap plywood. I don't know if I should say cheap plywood, it's just plywood. I consider plywood generally to be a cheap product. One step up from particle board. I can't stand particle board. That stuff's awful. At least for this. Anything real serious kind of artwork or crafting, I don't like it. Let me think. I believe I'll have 12 books and I'll have 12 sets of these. So that actually, I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that before, but that will work out just right. And it'll take quite a while to put all 12 of those books in the bamboo presses. So that's probably all I'm going to accomplish this stream. Save the gluing for the next stream, most likely. Oh, but actually, I don't know. It's kind of a random toss-up decision. I have 2 different gluings that I could do. I could glue the mull and the linen tape down to the sides of these, or I could glue the books or glue the spines of the books once I get them in the smaller book presses, so it doesn't really matter which one I do. Probably I would lean towards doing the early step before the later step, which means gluing the spines before I glue the sides of these, because then after that second batch of spine gluing is done, I'll have a bunch of books that I can do all the side stuff gluing together. It's kind of nice to have a assembly line process where you have a ton of books that need the same thing done. Goes a little bit faster, I think. Plus then if I'm streaming it, it can be more categorical in the content. Definitely can smell the wood glue or something. That's the thing about the plywood. I feel like there's, I don't know. I don't know if there's more of a woody smell than the bamboo. We'll find out, I guess. Ideally, I probably wouldn't use wood at all for the book presses, or I'd put some kind of spacer paper board in between the book presses and the actual paper, just so it doesn't leach at all. I just don't think it's that significant enough to worry. Transfer just a tiny bit of wood smell, and probably not too much acid, especially since it's usually only for a day or two at the most. Probably repeating myself, but that tends to happen when you're streaming. You never know who's gonna show up or who like comes in and drops out, so I sometimes say the same things a couple times just in case somebody new shows up and wonders what's going on. But generally, my previous habit in streaming is I didn't talk that much. I'm just trying to do a little bit more chatting than I normally would, just because I'm on a new platform and people aren't as familiar with what I'm doing. But once I've been here a while, I'll probably just have pretty silent music streams unless somebody is there to chit chat with. Okay, so there's all 12 books that have glued spines. Put those in a stack somewhere. I think I see a good place for them. I like to stack them like a pyramid with the biggest ones on the bottom. Less likely to fall over. Okay, so then, wait a minute. No, I wasn't thinking straight at all. I was actually completely wrong. And I was thinking earlier, it's like, oh, I have 12 books that I took out of those big presses, and then I'll have 12 to put in the bamboo presses, and it'll be the right number of bolts. But I'm not putting those back in the presses. They've already been glued, so I need new books that haven't been glued to put in the presses, so that can not really important, but what I said was not right, so I'm just trying to correct myself as I go. I think I have plenty, more than 12 that need to be glued on the spine, so like all these, and have another stack back there. In fact, I might do the big ones. These ones are pretty large for me. I don't make huge books except for that one that I finished recently. Usually I enjoy making smaller ones. So let's get 12 out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so I almost have 12 already, so just one more. Okay. Now I can actually finally sit down and get a little bit more comfortable. My chair isn't the most comfortable in the universe, but Better than standing. Stack of bamboo strips. Kind of a mess here. Creating some floor space here for my rolling chair. Oh, a big mess in my room. Not actually sure if I have enough boards for all 12. Guess that means I need 24 boards, which I'm not sure how many I have here. Might be enough. The other issue is I don't know for sure if they'll line up on the drilled holes because of the issue I mentioned earlier. Let's do a quick count, see what I got, and I could kind of strategize. This one, apparently I missed the hole on one side. I got up here and didn't get it over there, so that one's out of the pool of usableness, usability, whatever. Okay. Okay, we got 13 in each stack, so 26, so more than they need. So we're good to go. Actually, I need these to be off to the side so I can show what I'm doing. Used to have a place to put my keyboard. Now I don't really have a good place, so I've been wanting to get like this rotating some kind of rotating platform for my keyboard that I can push out of the way, kind of like a monitor stand, like the kind that you can attach to a desk or something. But I don't want to spend a lot on it, and it's not a huge priority, so I just have to deal with it. Okay, these boards are really in my way. Let's do this a little bit better. That's probably good. And like I said, I don't really have a good place to like lay these out. Like once they're lined up like this, I don't have a good stacking system. It would be nice to construct that. I don't know if I'll do that tonight though. I'll probably just stack these on the floor somewhere, I guess, until I deal with that. Once I start doing the gluing though, I'll definitely need a place to stack them vertically. Oh, I just noticed I'm not quite in the frame. There we go. Okay. So first thing I usually do that works well, I need to make sure I get a pair that's lined up. Holes going through. These ones look like they line up good. What would be super awesome is if I made these really complicated things like some kind of retractable arm tripod that comes out of the bottom of these, like kind of folds out like this. Like say this is almost inside the wood at the bottom and it just goes like that, and then you could stand it up on that if it had a little dividing tripod thing at the bottom. But that would be super complicated to make that. Have to fabricate it somehow. I guess if I had a 3D printer I could print out something like that, but I do not have one of those. I don't know how strong 3D printed structures are either. I mean, I know most people make stuff for show, just kind of figurines and things. But if I got a 3D printer, I would want a way to print out like parts that you could use in fabrication and stuff. And if they weren't strong enough to support mechanical movement and stuff, I wouldn't really be interested in 3D printer. Okay, so now you can see I can like manipulate either side. I can push from the bottom more easily to push them up that way, and then I can tap them from the top to align them. So you can probably imagine how much easier it is to work with these. So what I've been doing is just using another one of the boards to tap the top of the signatures to get them lined up. Kind of like I was doing with the ruler before on the bigger ones. But these boards work pretty nice. And I have a couple options once I get it lined up to my satisfaction, which I feel like I can be more of a perfectionist now because I can really fine-tune it. Whereas before it was such a struggle that I often just compromised and said, good enough. Which, honestly, even my compromise good enough is better than most people would care to do. And I don't say that in a arrogant way. It's just, it's not even that important to get the signatures perfectly straight. And most people that I've watched on YouTube and other bookbinders, they don't spend as much time as I do on this. So it's not crucial. But I enjoy producing a good product. So I can clamp it from the bottom, and then they, in theory, aren't going to slide around. And then, while that's clamped, oops, I let them slide down too much. Let's get them back up. I haven't really gotten used to this process yet, so First thing, I need to make sure this is centered, and actually before I even do that, what I just did, I need to check the alignment in this direction. So I want this to be perpendicular, not like this way or that way. So these have to be skewed a little bit because I can see they're not straight really. But all of this is a lot easier to do on these smaller presses. It's pretty straight. So once I get that dimension, get the skew out of there, then I just go back to doing what I was doing a minute ago, just tapping these. Signature on this far left is wanting to protrude out past its siblings for some reason. There we go, that's pretty straight. So I could clamp it on the bottom while I'm tightening it to make sure it doesn't slip. But I don't know. It's still potentially a little bit finicky though. There's no like amazing way to get these lined up. I feel like I should just, all I should have to do is like push here and tighten at the same time, but I don't have 3 hands. So as you're tightening, it tends to move a little bit, which is always frustrating. That's why I was, at one point yesterday when I was first using these, I was trying to clamp on the bottom and it seemed to help a little bit, but a bit finicky. Probably can just hold it really on the bottom with my fingers. Yeah, it's not straight enough. Now that I have the luxury of like shooting for perfection, I don't have to be satisfied with slight misalignments. I might try that clamp idea again, see if there's any merit to it. This one is, I think one of the reasons it's giving me a little bit of issue is I think this is really thin, low weight paper that I use, and I think the thread that I use to sew it's actually thick enough that it makes the spine thicker than the rest of the book, so it wants to splay out and fan a little bit because of that. I think that's what's causing this slight challenge here to get it straight. Looks like I got it. Alright, so once I get one side, flip it over, do the other side. It's infinitely easier to use these small book presses. It's hard to describe how much nicer it is. I think that clamping helps a little bit, so I'm going to keep trying that until I get that technique just right. Problem is if you don't clamp it straight, like you can clamp it like one way or the other and then it skews the whole book anyway, so it's like an art form to every little step. I think I got it pretty straight. It's looking good to me. Now I always go back to the first side and make sure it didn't change, because sometimes it does. And it did somehow move a little tiny bit. So I'm gonna release this first side and just adjust it a little bit. One disadvantage of these smaller strip bamboo book presses is that since they only have 2 bolts as opposed to 4 in the larger ones, They have the ability to skew in more dimensions than the larger ones. There's less friction on the book, and there's only 2 points of pressure instead of 4, so can skew this way, you know, just all 3 dimensions, all 3 directions or more. Oh, I just messed it up. So let's just push it up and tap it again until I get it. This one is really actually, those are both words that you shouldn't use in sentences. But I used them both right after each other. Pretty awesome. Yeah, this one is giving me some trouble. Really, actually, figuratively, literally. Okay, that's looking pretty straight to me. Straight enough. It's weird. The signature on this side just wants to sink down as soon as I add pressure. I don't know why it's doing that. Like I have to overcompensate, push it up, and then it sinks down. I wouldn't say that's 100% perfect, but it's... I'm going to call that good. Now let's just double check this side, make sure it didn't change vastly. I think it looks good enough, yeah. Okay, so I just tighten these really good so that this isn't going to like move around at all when I lay it down. Thing I haven't been doing, I guess I may as well start doing on these smaller ones, is taping the linen tapes down with the grafting tape. May as well do that as I go. If I can find my tape, of course. There it is. So already it would be useful to have a place to set this, like two stands here. So I really should make something like that, so that I could put that on here while I'm like taping it. Like for example, when I'm wanting to pull this side to side, it's kind of hard to hold the thing while I'm doing that. Not impossible, just a little bit awkward is all. The bamboo boards are thinner, so these linen tapes wrap around farther, which is actually kind of nice because then they tape more securely than the big thick plywood ones I was using. Might be wondering why I have this huge marbled paper sticking out, and that's because I'm wanting to make a magnetic flap that wraps around the front side, and so I leave this extra end sheet in there that's longer than the rest of the pages so that it can wrap around the inside of the flap. I've only done a few magnet flap closure journals, maybe 5 or 6, maybe something like that. And so it's still kind of an experimental process that I'm going through, trying to iron out all the measurements and which glues to use and how it functions mechanically, how it opens smoothly, all that stuff. I'm just trying to still figuring it out. Okay, so that one's ready to be glued. And I have a bunch of these, like at least I think eight more that I've already put in these bamboo things, but I'm gonna go back and tape all these down. Maybe if I just put it vertical, that might actually be kind of a solution. Just gotta get creative. Yeah, I think that'll work. Other thing I have to keep in mind with my streams is I think Odysee or library or whatever you want to call it has like a limit on the length of streams, possibly. I know they have like a size limit, but if I think they might have like a time limit, like of 4 hours possibly. I don't know, there's like conflicting documentation that I've read, but I can't do super long streams if I want them to be stored, like the replays to be stored permanently or whatever. I guess I could split them up into a couple files or something. Let's see, I've been going for just an hour. Okay. Hour and a half, actually. This is a matter of the screw holes not aligning up properly, so you got a shorter one here and they're kind of skewed in their alignment. I probably should just chop the ends off the longer of the two, except that, I don't know. I need to like make all of these bamboo strips the exact same configuration so they're interchangeable. I don't really want to have to keep pairs together. With my bigger book presses, I have little numbers on them so that I know how they match up, but it would be nice if they could all work together. Of course, this one's not even going to stand up because it's not even, so I'll just put something under there. There we go. It's also a little bit tilty, but not as bad as that last one was. I'm gonna go get a snack here in a bit. But if I do that, then I can't really work on this at the same time. That's the unfortunate thing of crafts like this, especially this particular one. You don't want to get a bunch of salty or oily stuff on your hands that get on the books. Can't really eat while I'm doing it. That might actually be the deciding factor, where I just feel like I've streamed long enough. Split it up into a couple streams. be, let's see. Maybe I'll do it at the 2-hour marker around there. See how many of these I can get done. Probably not a lot because I forgot to tape these as I went along, so I'm just kind of fixing the ones I did last night. Looks like I haven't dropped any more frames since the beginning of the stream, so that's good. I don't know what that's all about, why it does that sometimes. It's like if it doesn't get a good start, the rest of the stream is just junk. But if it starts okay, then the rest is fine. Haven't figured out what kind of streamer culture there is here on Odysee. Like I said, I haven't met anybody. But also I don't know what the most common types of content are. Just based on the little I know about the platform, I kind of would guess that there's more chat and politics streamers here than, say, like gamers or music or art type streamers, creative stuff. But that's just a wild guess. I don't actually know. But if that is the case, it just makes it so I'm more of a anomaly, which I kind of like doing something different. I think there's just 2 more that I need to tape down, then I can get back to putting new ones in the presses. And there's no way I'm going to do more than just putting books in the presses because it's going pretty slow, and like I said, I don't want to do a super long stream. Kind of feel like just relaxing, maybe watching a movie and get some snacks. Sounds kind of nice. Should go to sleep, of course, but what is that? Sleep? Okay, so got 9 done and like 11 to go, I think. I don't think I'll finish all this stream. This next one coming up should be easier than the last one was because it has thicker signatures. So basically on that first one that I did, the signatures were really thin because the paper was thin, and so the thickness of the thread was expanding the spine up near the top, and then the pages down here were more compacted. In this case, I don't think the spine will be any thicker than the rest of the book, so it should be a little bit easier to work with. In theory, we'll see if that actually pans out. Book isn't very wide though, so it just barely sticks out on the back side, so it's not quite as easy to manage pushing up and down. I don't have quite as much grip to work with. Straight enough for a first draft, and then we'll turn around and do this side and see if that messes up the first side. Since I can actually reach the back, I could individually push up and pull down signatures. So just everything about the process is a lot more controlled than using the big presses. A little bit harder to manage the signatures individually on those thinner books. These thicker ones I can more easily grab the substantial individual signatures. Okay, so that side looks pretty straight now. Let's go back to the first side. Refine it just a tad. Generally looking pretty good. It's all really just an eyeball process. There's nothing truly certifiably straight about it. You just kind of check it visually. Look for anything that's sticking up more or recessed more and just try to adjust it. Looking pretty good to me. Check this side one more time. Looks like it stayed pretty straight. One signature on my far right here is popping up just a tiny bit. Oh, I forgot to check. I always like to try to check this dimension first to see whether the holes are skewed this way or that way. It should be perpendicular, and luckily this one was pretty straight, so I don't have to undo and restart the whole thing. That's good. Got lucky there. Guessing that came off of this one. I keep these little post-it notes with the little few vitals, little information about each book. Little notes. I give each book a name. It's just kind of a code word that I use so that I know how to reference it, and because I'll eventually have several parts, little pieces of paper and the cover and different things that I need to keep together in different stacks, and if they fall apart, then I Won't be able to match them up unless they have some name on there, so kind of what the code names are for. But then I also put little measurements on there as I'm going along. Little attributes about the book. So that's all that those post-it notes are about. Nothing mysterious going on there. See, it's not sticking at all. Lost its stick, so I guess I'll use a piece of tape to keep that on there. I might go a little bit past 2 hours. I'm at 1 hour and 50 minutes right now. Here's another thin book, so this one's going to present more of a challenge. Aligning it, typically that's the case. Pretty straight. Just push it down. I'm almost guaranteed to have to go back and forth a few times though. Just always ends up being that way. Sometimes I just pop right into place though. Don't fight me. The more I do this, you know, the more proficient I get too. It's not even about overall number of books I've made and experience over time, although that is part of it. It's also how many I do each session, because if I don't do it for a while, then it's like that muscle memory fades and it's like starting from scratch again, almost relearning how to do it. Which is one benefit of keeping these streams. I'm kind of glad that I'm streaming on a platform that's I can save the stuff, and I'm also uploading to YouTube, so that should I you know, take a long break from bookbinding and kind of forget how things go, I can teach myself what I'm doing by watching my replays. Okay, that's straight. This side still looks good, so I think we're good. Just tighten it down. How many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'll do at least one more. This one is kind of medium thickness. Would be easier than the last one, but not quite as simple as the fat one that I did a minute ago. Keep forgetting to check this dimension. I'm getting lucky. These are all straight across on the holes. Looking pretty great. Real nice and straight. Both sides, so we're ready to tighten it up. Just hitting the 2-hour stream mark, so. And this is my 12th book, which is a nice number to end on. I could do 14, but I wouldn't want to do 13. Not that I'm superstitious or anything. But 7 is my favorite number, so 14 would be multiple of 7. Could do 2 more. I think that's reasonable. Do 2 more. Going pretty fast, actually. Like I said, the more I do, the more proficient in muscle memory I gain. It just kind of goes smoother. Okay, so actually remember to check this dimension, and it just needs a slight adjustment. Good. I probably could make some simple structure on these that, like little bamboo sticks with a tiny hinge that goes out that way. I have to think about that. But it would be nice to have built-in stands on each of these that could fold away. That would be awesome, but might be over-engineered. But that way I wouldn't have to like put them all on top of some other things to suspend them upright. As long as it's not expensive. I don't mind doing things that are kind of creative and fun. Time consuming even, as long as I'm not spending a ton of money on it. Any bit of skew, like instead of perfectly perpendicular, it's like slightly this way, but it's very minimal, so I'm gonna let it go. do a recount here, but I believe I'm at 13, so I'll just do one more book. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep. Let's do one more. Call it a night. This looks like an easy one. I'm good with that. Having a memory, having a productive thought. Remember to check this dimension for once. Looks pretty straight. This one overall looks pretty straight already. Should be maybe the easiest one. Or maybe it'll surprise me and be annoying. Me. I'm gonna have to brainstorm about that little extending leg tripod idea. I like that idea. I don't know how cheaply I could make that happen. I have some tiny hinges that might actually do the trick, but it's more about how they would have like a tripod at the bottom to keep them upright. That would be the trick. But I'm sure it's possible. Anyway, that would be a fun project to work on as well. Okay, there's the 14th one. That's kind of what I decided I would get done. Have 6 more here in a stack that can be done. I have a lot more than that. Like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have at least 11 more that need to be put in book presses, and I think I have a few more than that too, maybe 15 total, something like that. Anyway, I'll save that for next time. But thanks for joining me, for lurking if you're watching and relaxing. Hope you all have a good weekend. Catch you next time.